road to retaliation has finally, 10 years later, or something like that, come to its end, where I am playing through, making a video on every Awaken Realms game that I can get my hands on that's listed on their website. So that's the thing. If it's not available retail, I didn't do a video or a review on it, as those aren't technically out yet unless you backed it. And I'm not sure if they all delivered anyway. But that still leaves 8 solid games, and now we are going to rank every single one of them. And here's what we're going to rank them by, from the perspective of a solo player. So some of these play better as a semi-cooperative game, Nemesis, Lockdown, that kind of thing. Some of them play better as a multiplayer Euro, Great Wall, that kind of thing. I might mention those things, but the priority here is a solo gamer. Which game gives you the best bang for your buck and the best overall experience? That does not mean that number 1 is my favorite game. This is not about ranking my favorite game. This is what I think for you would be the best buy if you were only going to get one Awaken Realms game. So, before we get to that, real quick, this is a sponsored video. This is sponsored by Cape Fear Games, my local game store in Wilmington, North Carolina. It's 2 hours away, I know, but it's still my game store, and I love going there. The reason that I picked this one as the sponsored video is every single one of these games, one is available in their store, but the other thing is 6 of these 8 I actually purchased from Cape Fear Games, and the 2 that I didn't are available there. So, totally appropriate. If you are interested in purchasing any of these, if you don't want to and just want to enjoy the video, please do. Leave your opinions in the comments. This is a big time subjective opinion video. I want to hear where you disagree, or if you agree. But if you're interested in any of these, you can get free shipping in the continental United States, and you can get 10% off from anywhere. Free shipping is only continental United States. 10% off is universal. If you order online through Cape Fear Games, through the link that I'll put in the description and in the pinned comment, and use the code when you check out Board Games for One, all one word, real easy. Let's get to the rankings, starting with number 8, and we're going to work our way to the bottom. I'll explain why. So, the Great Wall, because this is number 8, does that mean that it is the worst? Not by any means. I've played this at 2-player, and I have played it solo multiple times. Thoroughly enjoyed my solo plays of the Great Wall. I have a video of it, so I'm just going to give a brief overview of each of these games, okay? So, the Great Wall is a Euro style, it's a worker placement game where you are working to build up the Great Wall with one of your commanders, which is pretty historically accurate from what I can tell of the names. The artwork's absolutely beautiful. You are on one side of the board placing workers in order to take actions to build up the wall and place soldiers. Then in the next phase, the horde that's coming to fight against you, I believe it's the Mongols, I could be wrong there. The Mongols are coming to destroy your wall and take out your soldiers. If you do not successfully defend or defeat against them, then you take penalties and lose points. The point of this game is to have the most points in the end. When you're playing multiplayer, you are working together somewhat to build these walls, but you're looking to take the most credit and contribute the most because that gets you the most points. It takes place over 4 seasons, which is basically the spring is like setting up, summer, spring you take all your income, spring is setting up, summer you take all your income, fall is where you take all your actions. That's the big part of the game, and then winter is when the horde attacks. Great Wall. Why is it number 8 for solo? Simply because the solo opponent really ends up being beat your own score, which is great, but, and this is the deluxe version. You can get the non-miniatures version for cheaper in the $70 range, and I'd recommend that. This is absolutely beautiful. This is over $100 because of miniatures and such. But there are 2 versions available, at least on the Awaken Realms site. But the reason is simply that there's not enough variability in the AI opponent. So once I beat it, then I knew how to beat it, and I could keep playing it, but I just had to keep raising the score challenge, and that's fine, but I want a little more creativity, maybe multiple AI opponents. So, beautiful game. I do love it, but number 8, you are. Number 7! Oh, this hurts me, but it's true. I told you, I'm not going to be placing my favorite game, Etherfields, at number 7. So, Little side thing, this is my favorite of all the Awaken Realm games. So if I were to keep one, this is the one that I would keep. I found this on the floor. This is one of the two that I did not get from Cape Fear Games. So I found this on the floor, and some of you are going to joke about that and say, of course it's on the floor because it's trash. And that's your opinion. It's valid. It's fine. I don't feel that way. But I found it at Second and Charles, a secondhand store, and it was like 65 bucks. I knew nothing about it. I actually thought this was Dwellings of Elder Vale. I didn't know there was a difference at the time. I bought it and fell in love. So what this is a dreamscape of a game. This is a deck builder where you are laying out. I have 2 playthroughs, and I also believe I have a Game of the Year video on it. In a playthrough, they were live, so, be kind of forgiving, but they're under my live videos, and you can, maybe I'll link all these in the comments, I don't know. But anyway, you can check out detailed play of it. But you have an overworld where you're moving around. Not so much, there's a little bit of exploration, but you lay out the whole map fairly quickly. Within the first, I would say, 15 to 20 hours of the game, which is still a ways, But anyway, you have an overworld where you're moving, and then you move to a dream. And then you go to a more zoomed-in dreamscape where you're moving your character around, running away from nightmares, and trying to solve puzzles. If you want a game like Massive Darkness, where it's a dungeon crawler, you will hate this. You will hate this. Though there is combat in this, it's more about using your cards to solve puzzles, and the nightmares moving around are part of the puzzles, okay? So there are some major errors. The board is not functional, so you're best off to cut it into sections and create your own board, which is exactly why I'm putting this at number 7, because it was not released in the perfect condition or near perfect that it really could have been. So the board's beautiful. I still love it, but how can I recommend something if the best thing to do is cut it and rearrange it? You'll see on Board Game Geek, lots of people have done it. There's lots of fans of this game. This is a divisive game. This is Final Fantasy VII versus Final Fantasy VIII. This is Final Fantasy VIII. I'm a Final Fantasy VIII guy. That's what Etherfields is. But anyway, it's down there because of that, and because the rules weren't super clear, but honestly, they're no worse than the majority of Awaken Realms games. The Great Wall instructions were great. I had no major issue with those. But with this being a campaign game, then it needs to have a walkthrough tutorial that teaches you the entire game. That's my opinion. There's no place anymore for games, cooperative or campaign games, really campaign games, to not have a tutorial like Jaws of the Lion. There's no excuse anymore. It can be done. It must be done. You should be able to teach me how to play the entire game and then only have to refer to an appendix after that. And Awaken Realms, you did not do that, and you have not done that successfully in any game yet. You're so close. Why aren't you doing it? That makes no sense to me. You're capable. And we want it. We love your games. So I say it out of kindness. All right, Etherfields. Enough on that. I've talked about that so much. Nemesis Lockdown. Number 6. Why number 6? Why is this above, or below, I guess, OG Nemesis? I'm not going to mention price point on a lot of these, except they're all $100 up. If it's below, I will bring that out. And that's only going to be the Great Wall Non-Deluxe and this War of Mine, and possibly Tainted Grail. Tainted Grail may have been in the 80 to 100 range, but it may have been over 100. All right, but it wasn't as pricey. Anyway, Nemesis Lockdown, well over 100. I don't know, 125, 150, depends where you get it and how you get it. The reason is, so this is Nemesis, which is a multiplayer semi-cooperative game based on the original game Nemesis. This is a standalone expansion. In many ways, many argue that this is the better, that it fixed some of the complaints and issues with Nemesis, and it really did in a lot of ways. It introduces a power system where now you're going around in this underground facility, these aliens are trying to kill you, you're trying to complete secret objectives. If you're playing multiplayer, if you're playing cooperatively with others or solo, you're trying to complete one or more objectives in order to finish the game. You can play it true solo as only one player, same with Etherfields, or you can control more than one character. But you're trying to survive. What it introduced was the darkness and light thing, where if the power is on, you get advantage dice. If the power is off, you are disadvantaged. And this added a lot of balance because if you keep the power on, you get enough advantage that you can mitigate quite a bit of the luck that so many complain about with the game. But if you play Nemesis, there's going to be a lot of luck. It's like saying Final Girl, why is there so much luck? Look at the game you're playing. Don't buy it if you don't like luck. So, I say that again out of kindness. If you don't like swing in a game based on what you draw, do not pick up Nemesis or Lockdown. But though Lockdown fixes a lot of things, I don't like the environment as much, even though in a lot of ways it's really cool. It might be a nostalgia bias that I have here for the spaceship and the environment and the characters of Nemesis, but also it's just a tad bit more complicated, okay? There are extra things to learn, and I think if you were to start with this, it may be just a little more frustrating than Nemesis alone already is. So, there you go. Oh, I'm getting too tall. I'm getting too tall. All right. There's going to be a lot of fire coming at me about this. 8765. Lords of Ragnarok above Lockdown. I've explained the reasons why. But here's why. Okay, so for all the fire that Lords of Ragnarok took, I still find it to be a very enjoyable area placement game solo and multiplayer, but this is complex. This is so complex. So you are playing in Valhalla world, something like that, as competing Viking type factions, except these Vikings are like alien mecha technology, robot, biomechanical creature things, right? So it's kind of a cool universe, and you're Ragnarok, this great storm is coming, and Ragnarok can bring about the end of the game if you don't end it in one of 3 or 4 other ways, like defeating monsters, because you've got your players, your armies, and these independent monsters coming around. You can take control of monsters, your opponent can take control of monsters, whether it's an AI opponent or real player opponents. If you're real players, and you're real players, we're all real players. If you're playing multiplayer, you can also include the AI opponent as an opponent. I don't know why on earth you would do that. My goodness, talk about a lot to track. But look, this is an area control game, which means it is a complex solo AI opponent. You will be learning through 2 or 3 games to really master this AI opponent. But it's really well designed. So if you are into something like Scythe, this is a more complex, more combative, more confrontational version of Scythe, where Scythe is a war of attrition. They're completely different games, but they're area control. Artwork is so beautiful. The argument is that the majority of the games end in triggering Ragnarok, so you're almost always racing to just control this area around the main center. I can't remember what the name of it, Yggdrasil, to control the most regions around Yggdrasil before the end of the game. That's the main argument. That may be the case. Out of my 3 solo plays, 2 of them ended in Ragnarok. 1 of them did not. I do assume most games end in Ragnarok, but if you try to take control of Yggdrasil early on, then the game is going to end by one of the other means because you haven't been paying attention. This is from a solo gamer's perspective. I don't think the game deserved the fire it got from what I read in comments and things like that. I'll get a comment of, so-and-so trashed this game. That's fine. And they may be right. I have not played it 10, 20 times, okay? And that would really be the only way for me to know. I only know out of what I've played, and what I've played is it is possible to get to win by getting the most armies, or to win by the monster seems the hardest to beat the boss, because you've got a boss monster, and if you beat them, it's an option, you win the game, or at least it triggers the end of the game. So it's complicated. It is over $100. If you do not like confrontational, competitive, area control, complex AI, stay away. If you do, you actually might love it. I'm going to get fired for this one too. This War of Mine. This is an Awaken Realms game. It's listed on their publisher site. I bought this new, yet I don't see Awaken Realms on the box, but whatever, I'm including it. This War of Mine, the board game, is IP-based. It is fully cooperative. It is based on the app, where you are playing in a fictional city under siege, and you are trying to survive through a series of days, 7, 8 days, something like that. I think my game went through 8 days. I have a full playthrough of it up. This is an incredible emotional storytelling game. It is well researched. Those who have lived through sieges, such as the siege of Sarajevo, there was somebody left a comment who, in my video, who has a fantastic review on Board Game Geek under this. And check it out. Check it out. You're going to see it in the top like 3 reviews or something. It is from an actual survivor of a siege and how accurate this game is. Fully cooperative. If you play it multiplayer, you're all basically just, it's like playing Sherlock Holmes consulting detective. You do take turns, but you're all cooperating together. You don't control an independent character. You control 3 to 4 people. Unless they die or run away, then it goes less and less. It's a difficult game. You will lose more often than you win. It's survival, collecting items. So during the daytime, you are taking actions to build up your shelter. And then at nighttime, you are going out and you are scavenging to collect things. That's kind of risky. And then comes night raids, where people come and try to raid your shelter. This is not a zombie apocalypse game. This is real life, and it has, you're never going to play the same game twice because there's a massive script book. So you take actions, it tells you to read this script, do this action. The main reason that it is 87654, the main reason it's 4 and not number 1 is just the theme isn't for everybody. And it's the lead. It is an Awaken Realms game, but since I don't see it on here, I didn't feel right putting it at the top, but also just theme-wise. The theme isn't for everyone. So good. This is more affordable. This is in the $60 to $80 range. It could be in the 50s. Let's say 50 to 80, depending where you buy it. Okay? So, check that out. And we're down to 3. We only have 3 games left. We're booking. Hey, let me give a shout out. This is a fan first shirt right here. This is from, if my hair looks disheveled, it's because I had to take it off and put it back on because I forgot the brand. I'm so sorry. It's T-Post. They have sent me a couple shirts. They've been fantastic. Very high quality, very comfortable, stylish. And the cool thing about it is made to be environmentally friendly and all that stuff. But also it has an article on the inside. So they print one new shirt every month and there's a news article actually on the inside. And I could reverse it. I could wear it the other way with a quote, and the news article is actually on the back. This one is about fanship and meeting your heroes, and you probably never should, for good reason. Let's go back. Nemesis. All right. Nemesis at number 3, the OG. Nostalgia. Also, because this is an excellent cinematic experience, you can watch the video on it, the playthrough again. This is the base game before Nemesis Lockdown, so it's just a little simpler to learn, but by no means simple. You will play the first game and be consulting the rule book like mad, getting things wrong. 2 to 3 plays in, you'll probably have it down. This is a long game. It takes place over several hours just to get through one game. It could end very quick. It could end in 45 minutes, depending on the swing of the game. So you wake up on a ship. This is Alien as a board game. You wake up on a ship, and you don't know what's going on. You don't know why you were woken up, but you explore a ship, flip over tiles to explore. Sometimes there's bad things, sometimes there's good things when you flip that tile over. You're creeping around, and as the game continues, aliens appear on the ship and try to kill you. So you're trying to survive, but you also have an objective that you need to complete. If you want to play solo, you can control one character. If you can control multiple characters, each character will have an objective that they need to complete. So the more characters, the more help you have, but the more objectives you have to complete. Cooperative is quite challenging. The main way that most people play is semi-cooperative. This is not a campaign game, just like Nemesis Lockdown is not, the Great Wall is not. This War of Mine is, Lords of Ragnarok is not, Etherfields is campaign game. But anyway, I pick this one. If you're semi-cooperative, then you have secret objectives. You might be working together, you might not, you don't know who to believe. A lot of people love that about it. I actually love it solo. I usually prefer 2 characters. Playing as one feels so lonely on that ship, which some people love. It's a little harder to control 2 or 3. Anyway, the reason that this is above Lockdown, I've already mentioned. It's a tiny bit simpler to learn, but also I just like the ship environment and the nostalgia of this is the Awaken Realms game. This is the flagship. As far as I understand, this is what put them on the map. There is upside down. How many of these have been upside down? Oh my goodness, how embarrassing. There is no other game like it. There is not another game like it. Same with Etherfields. There is nothing else to match this. You can find something like Lords of Ragnarok, like the Great Wall. Etherfields, there's nothing like it either. This War of Mine is the best of its type. There might be other games like it, but this is the king. Nemesis, there's no replacement. With Nemesis, fun side little thing. So Daniel and I played Nemesis multiplayer, and we did it on a like a loser's punishment thing. So, which was interesting, right? Because one person can win, one person can lose, or both people can win, or both people can lose. Loser's punishment was picked by Daniel. Whoever lost, or if both of us lost, we had to take an ice bath, right? So, both of us lost. The first game, I actually successfully survived, but I felt bad because I did it by throwing him under the bus, and I didn't need to. The second game, we both died. That's right. So here is Daniel's review in an ice bath. Look, this was the cheap man's version. We did not buy an ice bath, so we made this as awkward as possible. Just embrace the oddity. Here's Daniel's thoughts on the multiplayer game.
It's really difficult, thank you.
All right.
I love it. So, you look like you're having a good time.
What did you like about Nemesis?
I mean, we played 2 games, and neither game was really similar at all. They both played very, very differently from one another.
Okay.
And your discomfort in this is great.
Yeah,
it's just as much as my discomfort in the roll of the dice and the luck involved with it.
Cinematically, is it a cinematic game? Does it own up to that reputation? It's known as like living a movie.
So. Yeah, I mean, if you have the imagination for it, there's definitely like you can see the aspect of like recreating that alien movie in your own head.
Okay, that's great. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, because now we're going to talk about the cons.
Okay.
What you don't like about it?
My foot's
Have a
cold.
seat. Ah! I'm numb and I can't feel the bottom of this, so I couldn't tell if I was sitting.
That's really cold. I should do
That's
that so
really
fast.
Cold, yeah.
Yeah,
just... Okay. Yeah. Oh, good job. Do you still have the scar from the wax?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right.
That's
I feel like grandma. Daniel. Okay, so negatives.
Being in here.
Good. In Nemesis. Any reason that you wouldn't want to replay it again?
Definitely.
Man, you're being dramatic.
Oh, that's so bad. How are you so okay with this?
Why would you not play it again?
The luck of the draw, I mean, it was a little frustrating when sometimes nothing was going our way for absolutely no reason other than just the luck.
All right, thank you so much. You can get out now. Number 2. Surprised me. The only one I haven't done a video on because I've run out of steam. I'm sorry. But number 2 is actually the Tainted Grail, the Fall of Avalon. This is story-wise, so I'll tell you a little more about it, but story-wise, this is about King Arthur. So King Arthur crossed the seas to Avalon, which was a land tainted by the wordness. It was unlivable. But he was able to, through these menhir statue thingies that he placed and lit, able to chase the wordness away. And this land of Avalon prospered. It was wonderful. Well, King Arthur's dead. All of the people are gone, and the wordness is closing back in as these menhirs are burning out. They're going dim, and as the wordness closes, madness encroaches upon the people, and the world is being corrupted and sinking into darkness. So, a group of heroes goes out to find their way back to Avalon to solve this problem of why is the wordness coming back and how can we fix this? They fail. You play it not as a hero, but as a broken loser. A loser who was not asked to go on this quest, but was trained by the heroes, but you just aren't good enough. But they failed. And so now it falls on you to succeed. It's a beautiful story. The strength of this game is the story. I wouldn't say the strength of Etherfields is the story. I love the story, this sci-fi thing where you're going through these dreams, you're trapped in a dream and you're figuring out who you are, and it's actually a sci-fi thing, but it's not character-based really. A little bit, but not super. These characters have names, they have flaws, and they have challenges and obstacles to overcome in order to become heroes. So, I haven't finished the story, but it's fantastic. It's similar to Etherfields, where you are laying out a map based on cards, except there is no overworld. Like in Etherfields, there's an overworld, and then you zoom in to the dream. No, this is just zoom in. It is not a dungeon crawler. If you're looking for Massive Darkness, this isn't your game. It's more about solving puzzles. Combat definitely happens, and it's card-based combat. So, I mean, it's there, where in Etherfields it's not so much there. This one, you actually go into combat against individual monsters. What I mean is it's not dice-based, and it's not a dungeon crawler. But the combat is super cool, where you have an opponent and you're able to lay down your cards. Then if well, actually, it doesn't matter. It's a cooperative game, so solo or cooperative, they will lay their cards. You try to beat each other. They have certain weaknesses that you try to meet against, and it's like a key-like system where you lay down a card that has a key on one side, which determines whether you can place down the next card that matches that key in any way and strengthens it or nullifies it, kills it. Pretty cool. Cool combat system. But really, it's about exploration. So you lay out 4 or 5 cards, something like that. You have a menhir in the middle, and you explore. But each turn, as you end that turn, or if you're playing multiplayer, I guess the round, as you end the round, the menhir dial that starts burning bright goes down 1. And as it goes down, eventually it'll hit 0. And then the menhir is dim, which means all of the lands around it are no longer accessible because the wordness has closed in. So you have to relight it, which takes a lot of effort. A lot of effort. You can play as one character, or you can control multiple characters, unless, of course, you're playing cooperatively. 4 characters, I believe, and each one has their own strengths and weaknesses, as well as their own storyline to follow. So you can play through as all 4 for a super cool campaign. This was less than some of these other games. I'm going to say it was between 80 and 125 because I don't recall. I just remember it was a little bit less. Miniatures are beautiful, like in all the games. And how it works, your character has stamina. So during your turn, you're allowed to take as many actions as you want until you run out of stamina or can't take further actions. If you go too low on stamina, then there are consequences for that. Then you're able to reset to a certain degree for the next round. Take more actions. Explore, solve puzzles. You're going to have to be taking notes. So the exploration reminds me of Etherfields when you zoom in. The battle is much better, much improved. Yeah, so if you're looking for a campaign game, definitely number 2. The downside, of course, is the theme. It is dark fantasy. Is that a downside? No. I spoke incorrectly. It's a downside for some. It's been very popular for a while. I think now people are looking for something brighter. But if you like dark fantasy, and you always have, you will like this a lot. I didn't find it, excuse me, I didn't find it to be gruesome. It's a darker fantasy tale. All right, if there was only one Awaken Realms game that I could recommend, look, tell me if you disagree. Grab the one that you like. But as far as bang for your buck, this is not my favorite one, though I did really enjoy it. I do believe this is Nemesis is their flagship. Nemesis is their flagship. But they're closest to nailing it as far as the full experience with, it's so big and heavy, ISS Vanguard. There's my head. ISS Vanguard is also a cooperative game, sci-fi theme. It is like Star Trek, basically. So it has an overworld in that you're flying around in space. It also has a micro world where you beam down to a planet's surface and explore the planet and try to solve puzzles similar to Etherfields and Tainted Grail. That's something Awaken Realms does well, I think, is the puzzles. Puzzles are in Lockdown and in Nemesis as well, more so than combat, right? So the combat is secondary. You will have some combat in this game, but it's not a lot. It's more like solving a puzzle in that combat and trying to survive it. You control not a character, but a ship with a crew. Crews with faces and names and maybe even a tiny little bit of backstory. This does require the use of, well, you know what? It might not require the app, actually. I think everything is available on paper. But they do have a very well-designed app. So if you're cool with that, I'd recommend using it. If you don't like that, everything is available on paper yeah, everything was available on paper. All right. I chose to do it with the app. But anyway, the big thing about this is your 2 phases. So you have your ship phase, which is a book, and you flip through the book to go to different sections, you know, the bridge, the engine room, all that stuff, med bay and all that. During the ship phase, you are building up your crew, you are advancing in levels, you're deciding what kind of gear you want, what kind of away ships, what kind of away teams you set that all up. Watch the video on it. Then you go to you fly your ship somewhere, and then you decide to send an away team down to whatever planet, and you have free exploration. This is open universe. Open universe, you go and you explore. Sometimes you'll find something that you can't beat, or you can't access, so you may come back, and you may go back there much later in your campaign. This is well over $100. I'm thinking it was $125, something like that, for this base game, but it comes with a lot of exploration. There is a story. There is a story that advances. The only Tainted Grail is the best story because you have these flawed individuals, these people's stories going along with the world story. Where ISS Vanguard, you have the world story, not a lot of personal development. Same with Etherfields. But anyway, it is a campaign with a story. I think they all might take place in the same universe. I know Etherfields and ISS Vanguard take place in the same universe. I'm suspicious of whether Nemesis and Lockdown also happen in the same universe as those. I'm not entirely sure. But Etherfields and ISS Vanguard do. There you go. Number 1, do you agree? Do you disagree? Why? Let me know. Did you have fun with this? I did. What is coming next? We are going to be looking at a handful of games that I have been playing more recently, newer games, things like Wormspan, Tir na Nog, Ela, all those that I've gotten played. So we're going to talk about those and a little bit of a focus on Euro-ish games because I'm not entirely sure what a Euro is anymore, what a non-Euro, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. So I let you guys categorize that for me. But if there's worker placement and things like that, I tend to think of it as Euro-ish. We're going to look at it. Oh my goodness. I love you all. I'll see you next time.